All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, Master of the day of judgment. You do we serve and you do we beseech for help. Keep us on the right path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom your wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. The next passage I'll be reciting is from Surah أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة فهو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. And the translation for this passage is, He is Allah, besides whom there is no God, the knower of the unseen and the seen. He is the beneficent, He is the merciful. He is Allah, besides whom there is no God, the King, the Holy, the giver of peace, the grantor of security, guardian over all, the Almighty, the Supreme, the possessor of every greatness. Glory be to Allah from what they set up with Him. He is Allah, the Creator, the Maker, the Fashioner. His are the most excellent names. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth, glorify Him, and He is the mighty, the wise.
Civic organizations, we build relationships with other organizations, but basically it's about education about Islam and Muslims. And I don't know how many of you all have seen, but about a week or so ago, this was a headline where the attorney that was representing the U.S. government said that Islam was a country. Islam was a country. Has anybody ever been here? So this is the level.
Flights are really cheap.
So this is the level of people not knowing about Islam and Muslims in the country, and this is like being in a court of law and talking about Islam. So this guy was not educated, he's a lawyer. And so this is a pretty horrible situation that we're in. So the work of the ISB is more needed than ever, person by person. Just wanted to capture what we were able to accomplish in 2017, alhamdulillah. In 2017, we reached, the Islamic Speakers Bureau speakers, we reached over 2,900 people face to face. This is where somebody saw a Muslim that was standing in front of them, and who talked to them, who was their neighbor, who was their kids go to the same kids as the same school as their kids, etc. 2,900. And not only that, it's not something that right here? Okay, I can't move. Not only that,
for us to see that we're obligated to do that. Anybody that's working for good, who's doing good, we have to support them. We have to recognize them. The acting U.S. Attorney General, Sally Yates. We recognized her, and she sees the ISB and Samaya as a friend, our supporters and friends. And Sally Yates, we haven't heard the last of Sally Yates. She's going to be involved in the leadership of this country, even more so in the future. The U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, John Horn, he thinks of us as a friend of his. He's stepped down recently too, but he's going to be involved in political activities around Georgia and Atlanta. We saw the Episcopal Bishop Robert Wright. He's over all of the Episcopal churches from their conventional standpoint right now, and we recognized him, and he sees himself as a friend to this organization and as a friend to the Muslim community. We mentioned Mayor Kasim Reed, as well as Keisha, Lance Bottoms, but who else other than ISB is going to honor Arthur Blank? There's no other Muslim organization that will be honoring Isb Fr, a wealthy Jewish person, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, the co-founder of Home Depot, we open the door to let Muslims know it's all right to recognize the good of these kind of folk. And he was impressed. He came to our banquet, and there are no other banquets like ours. The diversity in our banquet is so thick that you just meet every kind of person in metropolitan Atlanta and Georgia. But he came to our banquet, and when it was mentioned that the Atlanta United got bigger cheers than the Atlanta Falcons or Home Depot. And so he went somewhere else and spoke.
Countries I couldn't point out on the map, or talk about political leaders whose names I couldn't even pronounce, but that was just my place. And it's really where I have been ever since. Sitting in front of news and just waiting for an opportunity to fight back or speak out, or just to make a simple difference in this world. And I was just an hour away from when the Twin Towers, when they were hit and all of our lives were changed forever. Sometimes when I look back at it, yes, I was really young. But I think it was that event that may have just started my entire career. It's almost like I was 4 years old and I become a journalist. Fast forward through all the sob stories all of us hijabis like to talk about every day, and it's all about elementary school days when I first started to wear hijab and I convinced myself I had cancer because that's why the kids thought I'd wear it to cover my head. And then in high school, when I'd walk around and I'd find people staring at me odd, and then by the end of the day I figured out that somebody had really eloquently drawn an AK-47 and taped it to my back. But that's just who I was. Your average 15-year-old hijab-wearing, book-reading, innocent-looking terrorist. Because that's just how we were to them. And after years of this, and I completely and unapologetically devoted myself to writing. I looked for victims of domestic abuse and I wrote about them. And then I found black students who had been stereotyped by cops and I wrote about them. And then I found the 3 Muslims in North Carolina who were slaughtered, and then everybody called it over an argument, and I wrote about them. And so when I turned 16 and I started writing for AtlantaMuslim.com, and I wanted to shout out Shai, but he couldn't be here today. But that's really what kind of changed my life. He was the one who inspired me to get up and write a story every day. For months, every single day I find something else to write about, and I tell somebody else a story. But he's also the one who told me about the Islamic Speakers Bureau, and I was in high school at the time, but it was that competition that sort of got me into reflecting for the people who actually inspired me. And one of the people on the 100 most influential list that I had to pick from and write about was Maria Ibrahimiji, which a lot of you might know. She was at the time a producer and writer for CNN, but she was a lot more than that too. She was a journalist and a director. She was a producer. She started her own business called I Speak For Myself. She's basically everything a young Muslim woman like myself who thought I had no chance in this world wanted to be. And the competition was less more of a high school writing thing as it was an opportunity to reflect. Because how many of us could say that we know a Muslim and a journalist, a director, a producer, an entrepreneur, and most importantly, a woman who is not only all of these, but it's so much more. And even though I was in high school at the time, I was also just about to graduate Georgia State with my Associates of Arts in Journalism. And I was taking 7 classes at the university and also writing full-time. And I was just working my hardest to be the best. And when I won the competition, I ironically got to meet Maria, which was a complete surprise, but it was like that day I finally had come face to face with the reflection of the woman whose footsteps I'd been waiting to follow. And looking up somebody and saying that you look up to them as a hero, and then meeting them is something completely different. I got to tell her my dreams and my hopes and everything I wanted so terribly but wasn't sure I'd ever be able to experience. And that's something I really pray Isb continues to give to all the young women like myself and men who look up to people and dream a lot of dreams, but even though they dream them, sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's possible. It just kind of feels like it's something you want, but it's just too far away to get. And a few months after meeting Maria, who had just finished her position as a senior editor for CNN, I'd become the first intern, hijabi intern, to be with CNN. And I was only 18 years old, and it was something that happened and I knew I always wanted it to, but it's just something I wasn't sure I was completely ready for. And it was only supposed to be a 3-month thing, but semesters came and went, and they kept offering more and more positions, and suddenly I was living a dream I thought I had left in high school, and all the hallways where I'd left feeling like I was nothing more than just a victim. And every day I want to remember the old days and get angry. But now I don't want to get upset at the ones who did everything that shamed me from speaking up. But instead I want to get upset at the ones who watched them and never stepped in. And when people ask me why I spend so many hours and days and years of my life writing like my hands do not know how to do anything else but that, this is why. There is nothing I think we need more than Muslim journalists who will stand at the front lines of protests and marches, and unfortunately someday maybe even wars. Who will tell the story of our people if it's not us? And it's not just our people anymore. It's not only Palestine or Syria or Iraq. It's Myanmar, it's Afghanistan, and it's Venezuela. It's every single country whose people have been shackled to the ground and stepped on by their governments, who point guns at their children and say nothing. Say nothing or we shoot you. So they stay silent. But now it is up to us to give them the voice they had left behind with their freedoms. And so I pray when I'm much older and long gone, organizations like Isb will continue to find young girls who dream and give them the chance to say them out loud. Because a dream you dream alone is only a dream. But a dream you dream together is a reality. Thank you very much.
Currently a third year, about to be a fourth year at Georgia Tech. I'm studying international affairs and pre-law. And just a little background, so I'm currently project manager with Sumaya Khalifa and ISB. But I got involved with the Islamic Speakers Bureau as a senior in high school when I was trained to be a speaker. I was the youngest one in the crowd, and we were just talking about that with Rabia. I was trained with a lot of the people in this room, actually. And I've been working, so it's been about 4 years now, and it's been the most incredible journey. I owe so much to the Islamic Speakers Bureau. And just a little bit of background, so I was trained as a speaker my senior year of high school, but I didn't get as involved as I wanted to be because of transitioning and getting adjusted to my freshman year at Georgia Tech. But soon after, a few months later, I got a call from Sumaya Khalifa, January 2015, and she says, I pick up the phone, she says, you know, I just saw what you've been doing. I had done like a TEDx talk. I came back from an interfaith conference, and she says, you know, I want you to be my right-hand woman. I want you to be the project manager with me for this new initiative called the 40 Under 40 Georgia Muslim Gala. And okay, two things. One, the Sumaya Khalifa is calling me a nobody. And I was just so honored. I've always wanted to be just like Sumaya Khalifa ever since I've heard who she was and what the ISB does. And second of all, I had little to no project management experience. I was sitting there so intimidated thinking, why did she choose me? Like, what does she see in me? What can I do as a freshman in college to help this incredible organization? But she didn't take no for an answer, and I'm so grateful for that because since then she has believed in me, she has pushed me, and I've grown because of it, alhamdulillah. That 9-month project was so challenging, but it was the best experience I've had. It's opened so many doors for me. So that's 3 years ago. Since then I've done so much because of it. It's been an incredible journey. I've met so many people in the community because of it. I know a lot of people in this room because of it, alhamdulillah. And like I said, it's opened so many doors. I just recently accepted a position as an intern for the Reagan Foundation in Los Angeles for the summer. So I'm working on that. That opportunity as well to challenge myself and be around people who are different than me, and ISB is what the organization that taught me that. Another thing is, you know, going into college, I think one thing that I noticed was people who are transitioning to college or high school, they always look for something like a home or kind of people that are exactly like them, and that's something I noticed with our MSA. You know, we don't have that many non-Muslim friends. We like to surround ourselves with the same people, but alhamdulillah, because of the Islamic Speakers Bureau, it's always taught me to expand my perspective, and I've tried to help others do the same. And I always recommend the Islamic Speakers Bureau and the Islamic Speakers Bureau speakers. They're incredible, and they've helped so many organizations. We brought them this year to the Georgia Tech MSA Culture Fest, which is something that we put on to kind of show people in our community what Muslim culture is like. We had all these different countries and foods and everything like that, and we invited Fariel Halim to do kind of Islam 101. Anyone that has questions comes, asks. And actually just last week, and I'm being so serious, it's such a coincidence that it was so recently, but I get a call from someone who it's such a small world. So his name is Chris Larkins. He's a junior now at Georgia Tech, and I know him because of the TEDx talk I did way before that, but he calls me and he says, Noha, I hope this isn't offensive or anything, but I kind of just wanted to have a 15-minute conversation with you about Muslims, Islam, everything about that. I'm trying to learn. And I said why and everything, and he said, so for this peer leading opportunity that he has on campus, they encourage them to kind of learn about people that are different than them, so they know how to interact with different people that they in the residency halls. And he says, I chose Islam because I came to that culture fest, I met Fariel, we had an incredible conversation, I learned a lot, and I just want to know more. And so it was an incredible conversation, but that is the work that ISB does in this community, and that's the work that it's done for years and it's going to continue to do. And I'm so appreciative that the Islamic Speakers Bureau, that Sumaya Khalifa never said that she's too young or she's unqualified. She always believed in me. I'm emotional. But that's something that I really love, and Allah just talked about it. That is the work that Islamic Speakers Bureau does in Georgia. And that's what we need in Georgia. Organizations that don't try to help the youth, and they say that the youth are the future, but Islamic Speakers Bureau, they say the future of the youth are now, and they've always tried to help the youth and empower us. And you just heard her story. I can't believe, I've been following her. I mean, that was such an incredible, empowering story, and that's the work that the ISB does, and that's why I really hope you guys continue to support them. And yeah, I think I'm going to finish there because I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
We recognize is that he did work and inspired work at multiple different levels. At the very basic level, helping the poor, providing service, doing charity. At the next level, building masajid, civic engagement. So we're talking about helping those which have basically nothing, building a place for us to gather. But then the next level is inspiring the leaders for the next few decades, taking a community which didn't exist at that time and getting the leaders, the best of the people, and saying, who are these people? Let's develop them so that after what we knew was all inevitable. So for the Sahaba, some people didn't even believe it when our Prophet ﷺ passed away. But the true mark of a leader, and there's literature about this, a level 5 leader, is when the leader leaves, the community and the organization thrives. Lower level leaders, what they do is they love that feeling of, I'm gone, now what are they going to do? They can't survive. But true leaders set it up so that the next 1,000 years, Islam and Muslims were the most powerful, influential group of people on the planet. And inshallah we'll be there soon again. The buckets of work that ISB does is first of all service, following the Sunnah, feeding the hungry through the hunger walk and also the lunch program, dealing with the emotional needs of the most vulnerable in our community. Faraz has led the Straight Talk program, which deals with the needs of the youth who we know are being bullied like they never have been bullied before in schools. The next level, education and outreach. This is the speaker part, right? This is the part where we're talking about going to leaders of government, to schools, to churches, synagogues, civic spaces, facilitating the masajid's open mosque days, which they have themselves. And then through all of this, also developing the leadership. The 40 under 40 program, the 100 influentials, speaker training, media training, training about how to write editorials. Many of you have been in those programs. so that those are skill sets that are being developed. And I think what the ISB realized is that in all of this, the underlying theme was developing our own community. Not sufficient. Leadership development and training is something that many other communities have recognized the value of. So if you go to all the Fortune 500 companies, Coca-Cola, Home Depot, whatever it may be, CNN, Emory Healthcare, they all have leadership development and training programs. Other religious and ethnic communities, the Jewish community, the Latino community, African American community, Atlanta, they all have leadership development programs. The value of these leadership development programs is that it takes people with talents who need a little bit more skill building in things like what? Things that are from our Sunnah. If you look at the leadership development training program, it's all there in the Sunnah. How to negotiate effectively, how to treat people correctly, how to speak to them and listen to them, how to deal with conflict, how to resolve conflict, how to raise funds, how to lower power distance. Power distance is a term about that in the leadership world, people know what it means. It means that when someone is very important, when somebody has a position of authority, how to speak to that person and not feel like they're up here and we're down here, or vice versa, that we are the leader. And how dare they speak and correct us. Lower that power distance so that you can speak truth to